Welcome to the 2-Month Review, the weekly podcast brought to you by Open Letter and 3%, in which we take one giant book, break it down section by section, talk about it, analyze it, have fun with it. I'm Chad Post from Open Letter Books, joined as always by Brian Wood, author of Joytime Killbox.
Hi, Chad. It's a pleasure to be here. As always, I'm so thankful to be here with you today. Thank you.
Good. And this season, our 9th season, we're doing Kjersti Skomsvold's MONSTERHUMAN, a pretty big book, translated from the Norwegian by Becky Crook, published by Delphi Archive Press. And we are covering today the first little bit of East of the River, which starts on page 277. And we're going up to page 316. This section is the longest, I believe the longest section in the book, and will be in this section for a few more weeks. Since each one of them kind of has a theme, it sort of makes sense to, I'm sure that we'll build on whatever we say today in the future weeks because they each have their own sort of structure to them. But it's interesting. So how are you doing, man?
Pretty good. I'm kind of frightened that we're going to build on something that we say today. Oh, dear.
I know, me too.
I figure it's just some faulty foundation that nothing can be built upon, and we just pick a new spot and try again next week.
that seems about right. That seems about right. Yeah, and it's just us this week too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing good. How about you?
Pretty good. Your book it comes out in October, right?
Yeah, October 15th.
15th. So you're getting
the pre-orders have shipped if you pre-order. But yeah, it's not a fit. I didn't realize that's how it works. So I had no idea. People started, hey, I got a book. I was like, how?
Yeah. But what broke the embargo on themselves?
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so October, it's official October. So there's a lot here that I totally identify with.
That's what I was going to ask you. That's what I was going to say. There's one particular part that reminded me 100% of you that I think I'm gonna just start there, which was yeah. So this last summer before my book is released, I start running as much as I can and I stop eating. It's as if all the willpower and strength and anxiety inside of me is in need of running itself out somewhere. So my question is, did you start running in order to be ready for your book tour and for your author photo?
No, not at all. Not at all, actually. I think it was because there's like this kind of like, maybe it's like postpartum depression where you're kind of done with it. And I don't know, I'm scared to death to continue on with like my next stuff I have to do. So I'll do something that I really hate, like running. I don't like running at all. And it's just a challenge. And so, yeah, I did that. And then I got injured because I'm not supposed to be running because I'm out of shape. So it's my body saying, what are you doing? You're a nerd. Go sit down. Don't go outside.
This is what happens when you get old, man.
Yeah.
You take up things like swimming and water exercise.
No, the only thing I like about running is I don't have any technology that allows me to listen to stuff while I'm running. Like I'd have to have my phone with me or something, which I don't want to carry around. So it's just, for me, it's just therapeutic just to kind of have thoughts. Like very rarely do you just kind of think about stuff because you're so busy. But if you're going to go run a few miles, you know, you've got, for me, if you're going to go run 2 miles, that gives me 4 hours to think about something.
I looked up the other day because I was curious about this, like what the average speed was. And for like a 5K run, or for running like a mile in a 5K run, and it's not fast. I feel suddenly like I am fast, like compared for my age, especially. Like I'm up in one of those higher brackets where people are like 11-minute miles. I was like 11 minutes. You out of your goddamn mind? Like if I go above 8, I like feel like I should punch myself. I think that's why I can't run anymore because my knees are always broken.
Yeah, that's what I did to myself.
Trying too hard.
Went too far and shouldn't have.
Trying way too hard.
No, like I have almost different anxieties than she has in this, and that the Kjersti character has in this, where I'm like at the point like, is anybody gonna read it? Or like this idea of getting interviews and magazines and stuff like that. Like I don't think I'm gonna get any of that. So
yeah, what a weird world in which like in which books are taken so seriously that when a debut comes out, they do like various photo shoots and interviews in the major papers. And even and none of them seem to be like particularly excited about the book. They're just like, well, this is our job.
Yeah, no,
cool.
It's really interesting. Like I remember you had mentioned there's a festival, right, where more established literary individuals will prop up new and upcoming literary individuals, and it's this literary festival to celebrate
debut Debutantes.
That would be
debutantes is
yeah.
what they call them.
I realized just like with the geography, it'd be difficult to do it in the United States, but like if there was some way to do that regionally here, I think it would be so marvelous. But
it really would. I mean, I think that there's some things like if you become a member of Penn, like if you're allowed to be a member of Penn for the first time and you have a book come out, I think that they might have some sort of like, so I know that they have an annual Penn sort of gala or whatever, and I think that there might be an element of that for people who have their debut books that are Penn members, but it's not the same. It's not like I don't know, John Irving's going to read your book and then like tell everyone why it's good.
yeah, exactly.
Which and their equivalent is that.
Yeah, I know there's it's like a numbers game, right? I mean, I don't know the number of titles that they have each year for debut authors, but I imagine it wouldn't be as high as what the United States puts out in a year.
I want to say that when we talked to, it's in one of the podcasts, one of the 3% podcasts where we talked to Annetta Orr, I believe that she said there's like 60 or 70 that qualify. And so it's split up over 2 nights in which people are introduced, but it still is like quite a long event. But yeah, it's like reasonable-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like how many debuts are there in America? Like thousands. Like
there'd have to be.
I would assume. What other anxieties do you have that don't match hers? Or did you relate to any of hers?
No, I mean I relate to some of hers as well, for sure.
Especially the one about how for debut novelists to garner any attention, you have to be young and pretty.
Yeah.
There's so much. Like
there was something very sinister with the way like they're talking about it like she's just like meat to be carved or something. It was really off-putting. Like, oh, how pretty! Smile some more. Wait, don't smile.
Maybe we could do nudes.
Oh God, what a terrible joke, right?
Yeah.
Or even the joke that really kind of upset the character, where too bad you look so repulsive. Winky face. Like, just creep. Just total. Ugh.
Yeah, that's not cool. Yeah. There's even like the guy that like interviews her and then asks her out for dinner. It's like part of how these people sound horrible.
Yeah.
Like, they shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, here's like
and Carl came out pretty cool. He came out all right, I guess. All things considered. He just go, hey, how's it going? Carl. I write long books. I'd like to write short books.
I wish it'd be so hard for me to write a short book.
As our Satanist is trying to do a push-up. What a weird scene.
That was super fun to come back to.
That was a really cool scene. I like the way that all looked in my mind, and I enjoyed that one a lot.
Me too. Yeah. So yeah, because she had referenced early on that at the Lillehammer festival, she meets Karl Ove Knausgaard, but she's like, I'll tell you more about this later, and like leaves it, and then comes back to it in this section on page 293. Where she sees him and is like, oh yeah, when we met when my friend was doing push-ups.
What was the stat that he said? Was it 2,500 pages in 2 years?
Yeah.
Am I shorting him? Did he do 3,000 pages in 2 years?
3,000 pages in 2 years.
Yeah.
She says, I say 4 years for 100 pages. And then she has the best line of all. His autobiography books are going to be published soon, but I think I should wait to read them until I've read Marcel Proust.
Yeah.
Which made me think that, like, I've never finished In Search of Lost Time, but I have read the Knausgaard book, so maybe next year I should go read all of In Search of Lost Time.
Ooh, that'd be a good challenge.
Yeah, I think
I might be down. I might be down for that challenge too. That's one of those ones like I know I should do and I haven't.
My friend once said that he'd read it several times, and I was like, Jesus, like, how do you do that? He's like, you just read 10 pages a day. Like, it adds up. If you just read 10 pages, it's like a lot over 365 days. Like, you get through it all, but like, you don't ever sit and read like for hours. You just read 10 pages. So,
yeah, that's a good point.
It's not bad. I mean, it's doable.
How do you eat an elephant in one day? Just sit down and just pound it out. That's how that saying goes. Yeah.
Absolutely. There are some good funny bits in this one too with her party. Which are you getting you should have a party like this one too for your.
I don't even
think
I'm
party.
having one. Like, I honestly don't even know if I'm having one or not. It hasn't been told to me yet. So again, that's why I'm like having this whole thing. Like, you spend all this time creating something, like her, like, 4 years writing it, all this time, like they're gonna show me the book and they're gonna do a surprise party. It's like no one's there. Like I totally that's what I identify with. Like earlier on I thought like, oh wow, there's gonna be like a dinner type thing and everybody, all the important people from the area are gonna come and some folks from New York City will fly in, my parents will fly. No. No.
No one will give a big speech about your book.
I'm gonna hire a babysitter on pub day and just get blotto.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's basically all gonna happen.
That is a good idea. Double checking them in town. Oh yeah, I'm in town. I have zero things on my calendar. Although I do teach Wednesday morning, so that 15th could be a rough. Not that teaching is what I ended up doing today. I spent more than half the class explaining how I was on that show I Love Dick and how books or publishers want to sell books to Amazon and Netflix. Good learning.
Good learning.
Yeah, so like sure, it is like her process is it is interesting to see how this process is so different from ours. That she spent all the time, she worked on it for years, she goes through all those different writing classes, like the schools, the meetings, everyone edits it, people want to publish it, but they keep having her change it. She keeps going through all these like revision after revision after revision. I mean, I guess that's probably the same, but like behind the scenes, it feels a little bit less behind the scenes here in this book than maybe it does in America, but that might just be my perception.
Well, too, like if you're trying to do a novel without an agent in the United States, like good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, and she's just sending it to people.
And it was similar when I was talking to the author Lena Wolf about how she got, I think it was Bret Easton and Other Dogs.
Yep.
That book. I think that was published by translated by And Other Stories.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yep, that's absolutely correct. And she has a novel, The Polyglot Lovers, that's just coming out, or just
same publisher as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting some good reviews too, I saw. But I was asking her about the process because I was kind of finishing up my book and trying to figure out how the hell to navigate. So I want, it's kind of like you're facing this giant wall and there's like each person finds their own way through it, right? Like to get to the other side. And it's almost like once they find that way through, that's shut up and there's a different way. So like for her, she's like, I just sent it to a publisher and they published it. It's like, what the hell? Well, I just the first one that I sent it to liked it and they published it. Like, man,
so easy. What are you complaining about?
I'm gonna have to I'll find another way around, I guess. Just walking through it is not an option for me. There was a door open, I just walked through it. What do you mean? How do you get over this obstacle?
Good point.
That was so funny. I just had to like smile and be like, oh, cool. I felt just rejected. Like, oh, that's not gonna work for me. I was just dejected and just sad. All right, are we gonna do this interview now or what?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Hi, Lena. Tell me about your book.
It is so And
I felt like obviously there was like the struggle obviously with Kjersti's character and physically trying to get it, like regaining humanity, working it. But then like it's just, and now it's published. Like it just kind of just happened. Yeah. So I really enjoyed like this ramp up part about, again, like there's kind of expectations and reality that are always apart from each other. There's a lot of humor in that she's continually mining in this book.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the same.
I was gonna say it's the same treatment of workshopping her work, or when a literary journal rejected a short story or something, where it's like clearly there's something wrong with them because I'm awesome. So yeah. And it's right because she actually but she actually is awesome. So like there's this it's kind of weird because she has this awesome confidence I wish that I could have, but at the same time she backs it up with accomplishments and so it's like maybe there is a reason I don't feel so good about myself and she's able to. But at the same time, she doesn't feel. But at the same time, like physically, she doesn't feel great about herself at all. So there's this wonderful tension of going back and forth with that, which I think works really well, and it's why we're still invested this far into the book.
Yeah, and this is probably like something that someone else would be able to talk to more, but like the her relationship to her body as the section goes on is pretty intense. And that's where she's like starts off the running thing, which is kind of a joke and like good, but then there's like all the parts where people are like, "Are you anorexic? Like, do you eat anymore? Like, what's going on?" And she like throws up a few
because this
times and
section
like,
starts off with throwing up cake. Yeah.
yep. Yeah, and that seems to be like both related to the stress, but also to like the way that that female authors are treated. Like all the attention on her, like on her personal appearance with those photos and all that kind of stuff, like we mentioned, like that all is part of it too. It's like a pretty severe anxiety.
Yeah, and just like just the creepy way that physically she's objectified versus versus objectively looking at her work. It's just she's being seen like as an object, and then there's the work, and so
yeah, it's pretty unnerving. So my favorite part of this by far is the part where my former boss John O'Brien shows up from Delkey Archive.
So that was the John. He comes off as a creeper too.
I was like, I don't know how this is gonna play.
The character. I'll say the character John in this comes off a little creepy too. Are you single? What was the?
Oh yeah, he doesn't say that though. Someone asked if he's
like,
yeah.
It's like 312 to 3. It's in that range.
314. Right? Yeah. Hilda says, "Is he
314.
Single?" Another person who has to hint at John's intentions are sinister. Who has to hint that John's intentions are sinister. I know that you shouldn't take people's talk more seriously than anything else that they might have in their mouth. And I should have answered, "Are you single?" Instead, I merely say that in any case, John has 5 dogs. which is true and also very funny.
Well, he has 5 dogs.
Yeah. It is so yeah. So like it's a great interaction. So they meet in the O'Hare airport. She ends up inviting him to Christmas with her family. He asks her what American authors she likes, and she says Virginia Woolf, which is wonderful, and clearly British.
Okay.
Good. And then she tears his business card into a million little pieces. As for another one. It's a pretty fun. Oh boy. It's pretty fun, and that is where, like you said, where is it in here or is it in somewhere? It's not in this part where I thought it was, but he asked her what she wanted her novel to do, and she later responds that she wanted it to make her human. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
I can't find where that is though. But yeah,
just right before that.
Is it right before that?
Yeah, 312. What do you want your novel to do? John asks now in a new email. He's thinking about whether to translate my book and distribute it in the USA. It takes me an eternity to write a single sentence. It feels like I'm giving this foreign man my heart. I wanted the novel to make me into a human, I write, before I push the send button. And again, it reminds me of what the book means to me.
Yeah, so we know that the book gets translated and gets published and is, like, I believe, shortlisted for the Impact Dublin Literary Prize, which was what I thought was interesting about this section. So we've had all this buildup of her writing the book. Then we get to, like, the halfway point where, like, the book is done and now it's going to move on. And now we're into the part where, like, it's been published. And I assume that we're going to see, like, in this chapter, like, the results of that. Like, she's gotten, like, the pictures and the interviews, but a lot of, like, the reception hasn't happened yet. And if this does chronicle, like, what happens with the book, then there's going to be a number of things, including the translation, that would come up in here, I think.
Yeah, because there's been a little bit of feedback about as far as the reception domestically, like that the people like it. It's a great book. You know, that kind of just, yeah, you did a great job.
Yeah,
but it hasn't been this, like, international fame yet or anything.
No,
it's interesting too because there is that kind of, you know, brief little meta moment where she's talking to Hildy and what are you writing on next? So I'm thinking about, you know, something autobiographical. Good choice, or, you know, like that. There is that kind of, like, mention of the book we're reading now, right? It
talks in the section about Hilda's book coming out too, and, like, the name of the character and all that. I Googled a bunch. I couldn't find this.
If she's real or not.
Yeah. I couldn't find, like, everyone else was
probably
so
a conglomerate real. Or I think it's a
composite
or something of a composite of some people. But
I assume so too.
Maybe it's rocks. It could just be some rocks put together, a conglomerate.
Yeah, just build that up. It could be. I mean, I wonder if it's not like a foil for her own. Like maybe there was never anyone like this that was a composite. It's just like she needs this character for this book.
But I did like the idea too. Again, something else I could feel about or feel connected to with her was where her mentor is basically saying that you're a novice, or calling her a novice.
Yeah.
And then kind of the struggle to always kind of catch up, and it's like for me, like when I'm hanging out with more and more literary people, like I'm decently well read, but then you start realizing like, oh God, I haven't read anything. Like there's so much out there. Like it became very apparent when like, going out for drinks with like, for instance, like you and Rodrigo Frazan, where it's just like, well, I don't know. I'm like in the corner writing down, okay, read this, read that, read like just you guys are all rambling off all these authors I've never heard of. It's very humbling to somebody that's been involved in it for so much longer, and you're kind of new onto the scene, or new doing it, and realizing you've come a long way, but realizing how much further you have to go.
Although it's all subsets, right? All like subgenres, like the people that know X grouping, other people know a different sort of authors. Like if there's always those things. It would be cool if you were able to do one of these for Publishers Weekly, where like someone has a new book coming out and they ask them like to name like their favorite X, and so they name their like 8 books about 8 short story collections that they love, and all those like when. Some of the answers are always super obvious or super like, oh yeah, everyone knows that. Everyone's read like, whatever, George Saunders for the short story things. But like, then there'll be ones that like haven't heard of at all, because it's like a person who's way into that particular type of writing knows a bunch of those people that not everyone knows, that are like someone who's a connoisseur.
Like, like it's like through Open Letter discovering Death in Spring, for instance.
Yeah.
Like, have you read this book? Well, yeah. I mean, it came out like 100 years ago. This is amazing. Like,
book is
welcome to the party.
Super fucking amazing. This one.
But, what a phenomenal author. And then it's one of those ones that like, well, how come nobody ever told me about? Well, there's thousands of authors. Like, you can't get to all of them. Like, it's like you feel like so left out, or it's like that kid that's going through his dad's record collection. Dad, have you heard Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd? This is so cool. Like you just like discovered fire or something. Like, yes, son, that is an album. This is awesome. I'm gonna show this to all my friends.
Oh my God. So
I mean, there's just so much out there.
So the people who are named in here, there's a number of them. There's some that are like the Norwegian authors, which is less there's slightly different than what we're talking about, but there's Marguerite Duras, Lee Ferdinand Céline, Elfriede Jelinek, Herta Müller. Like those 4 are like 4 big heavy hitter international writers. Müller and Jelinek both won a Nobel Prize. Oh yeah, Poe's in here because she talks about the House of Usher. But then there's like Vigdis Horth or whatever, who is now has a book translated into English and available through Verso, but so she's sort of known, sort of not known here yet, but like, and Knausgaard obviously, but there's a number of name drop. Oh yeah, Hanne Ørstabek. I believe that's who was on the National Book Award finalist last year for one of their books. So yeah, there's a bunch of them that are named in here that are of that ilk, where it's like, oh yeah, here's like the people that my mentor is recommending that everyone's supposedly supposed to know or be aware of, so on and so forth.
Or what was the essay on cannibalism?
Oh, right.
Is it French Montague?
Montague?
I can't remember.
Montague. I say that every goddamn time. It's the first thing that comes to my mind.
It's on 303.
303, yep. Yep, so there we go.
That's an author. I'm ignorant of those essays, so I'll have to read that now. So it's like, great, awesome.
Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway, but not really Ernest Hemingway.
Sure. Dracula.
She gets in that weird fight with Hilda in this section too. Like it's always odd in here because it's like you see the repercussions of it and not the action sometimes. Like even that time where she said like she can't write. Like it was like it didn't really have it in the context of like the speech that was being given. It was just like, oh, and then she ends with this thing, and I leave. So like they always have these fights that are like not articulated on the page, but yet you get to see like they're like she's
because I have to reread them. Think, did I miss something? What are they so upset about? I'm like, can't necessarily connect it. But the one thing I really took away from this one that I found interesting is I felt like Kjersti as a character realizes she's going to lap or be better than her mentor.
That line is great.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't underline it. I don't remember where it is, but that section. But yeah, there's this kind of strange feeling of like, oh no, I'm going to be better than her.
Yeah.
After reading her.
Yeah, after reading her new book, 294. But I noticed I've started to dread the time when I will be better at writing than Hilda. I wonder how she is going to handle it. Which is sort of like that. Is it in Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man? Or I think it is, where like he's sitting at the bar with his dad and he like realizes that he's already smarter than his dad is and will always be beyond him. It's a little bit more crushing, I suppose. But it's like when Isaac knows that she's smarter than you are and you're just gonna go.
She made this really great observation the other day where she was like, Dad, I'm like, what? Why are vampires always so like sad? They just always look all lonely and sad. I'm like, yeah, it's because they're emo. Like, I don't know. No, think about like if you think of like the Bram Stoker's Dracula, it's just like, oh, I'm in love. Like even she could observe like, why are they just so sad all the time?
They need to just cheer up.
Good
get to live forever.
Yeah. You get to live forever, whatever.
Yeah, man. Unless you
can fly.
Oh yeah, I guess vampires can fly. Yeah, they transform into bats, right?
Sometimes, or fog, or rats, or it depends on the vampire myths you want to go with.
I haven't seen a vampire movie in forever. I'm waiting for that remake of Blade that's coming soon.
No, I'm gonna wait for her to turn 5, and I'll let her watch Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula.
Oh yeah,
with Gary Oldman.
Oh my god, that would be great. So there's something that related to the 2-month review and to like the names of people and their prestige. So this past week, 2 things happened with the next 2 books that we're gonna do. The Ducks Newburyport's a finalist for the Man Booker now on the short list of that.
What?
So yeah, so
I saw that.
And it got like a big, huge review in the New York Times, I think yesterday as well. And then yesterday, Kirkus named their 30 most anticipated fiction books from the fall. And it's like Stephen King's son, who else? Salman Rushdie, and then Rodrigo Frazan's The Dream Part is on there. It's the only translation. So, yeah, so both of those are like on the list, getting some good praise in advance of the seasons. I also saw that I saw that someone was saying on Twitter that Ducks Newburyport has already been getting backlash from people who haven't read it, so that means its time is about to come. So it's a good sign when people are like already like,
have not read it.
This book has gotten too much attention. Which is you know that you're doing well if people are complaining that you're getting too much attention.
Yeah.
But absolutely. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say about this section, to be honest. It's like it's a good part of it. I love the idea of her like going through this release and having that party, and her experiences with this are pretty fun to see. Both like her tension around it and the fact that she's getting this attention. There's that great line about the inspiration pills which she eats. And gives all her friends their like piece of paper with like inspirational quotes on them.
Yeah,
you assume they were like some good drugs.
Yeah, there's this the state kind of parallel of misunderstanding, like even with having a cavity for the first time in her mouth.
Oh yeah.
And the dentist, she's going to give her a shot. She's like, "You're going to give me a shot in my mouth?" Like, yeah. Like, oh, I thought I'd get it in my arm or something. Like, what do you mean? I don't want this in my mouth. Like,
she like eats her face. and it is all like messed up.
But
When
no,
she
I
does
mean,
that
there
interview.
is like a parallel with that. You're supposed to open them up and read. Oh, I just ate them. So
It really is. It really is nice to see like such a like disarmingly direct and anxious representation of this. I'm sure that there are other essays that people have written, maybe not books of this length or this detail, about like their experience publishing their first book and like some of those issues that come up. But it is really refreshing because it doesn't feel like I have a hard time imagining a male writing a book anywhere near this. Like I think I remember, so I heard this interview once with this guy that was that he had a debut novel coming out, and the publisher wasn't going to really do much of anything for him except give him a 1 hour consulting talk with a publicist, like a freelance publicist. So they gave him like an hour with her to like learn how to publicize the book, and then he was like on his own. And at the very beginning, she asked something like, "Oh, what are you trying to do with your book?" And he's like, "Oh, I was trying to do these things and X and Y and make them work together, and I'm not sure it was entirely successful." And she's like, "Okay, you sound like a really nice person. Never fucking say that again. What you say is, I accomplished this with my book, and this is what my book is, and this is how my book is good and unique and special." And basically, like, never ever be less than perfectly confident in yourself. Like, you have to present that way. And that seems a track through culture and through like what I can imagine of like even like debut male novelists. Their interviews, their stuff is always like this sort of like, "Oh, I accomplished this," or "This is my mentor," or "This is the person." This feels so much more like uncertain about that, and so much more like honest and human in that way.
Yeah,
of
there's
like
something very truthful and real. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that if this were written by a male, I don't think it would work as well. I don't think it would be the same at all. And I don't think it would even be possible. Like, it has to be her voice with this. It's endearing, and like that sort of anxiety and back and forth is really truthful and cool, I think.
Well, I mean, too, like just like with publishing being dominated by male authors, like it's already coming from like a point of view of like privilege in that way, where you wouldn't want that story necessarily. It's better coming from Kjersti's character than if it was a male character, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when like overcoming the physical struggles, the emotional struggles, the struggles with the like strained relationships and the assumptions people are making of her and her book, like it's so much better coming from that voice, I think. Than
yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking of this last.
If it was a guy, just be like, he'd just be like, just shut up and keep trying, whatever. Like if it was a guy.
yeah. But instead, here it's like,
lucky you have it. Just shut up.
And here it does.
At least that's what I would say.
That's what, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too, absolutely. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Like, I look forward to the next two parts of this, the next 2 weeks of talking about this section, because I want to see like how her book evolves. Because I mean, there's certain things we already know. We know the punchline. Mm-hmm. She wins the debutante prize. She is finalist for stuff. So it'll be good to see that happen and see her career take off. I also have the book. I checked it up in the library. I'm hoping to be able to read it this weekend. So next week when we do this, we'll be able to talk about the book itself too. Now that we've hit the point where it's available, I feel at the right point to read it. Like, I feel like it should be slotted in here, like rather than.
I'll see if I can.
Back at the beginning.
I'll see if they have it at the bookstore. I'll buy one.
They probably
support Dalkey and get Kjersti $1 or whatever
which
royalty is for
at our
24 cents.
All of our great bookstores in town, one of them must have it.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
Probably someone must.
Did you notice too? There was a lot of talk here about precision and kind of paring things down with the exactness of language. And I'm curious if with her debut being about 100 pages or so, if the writing is done in that way.
Yeah.
Where it's very constrained and very precise. Whereas this book is almost a revolt, to all of that advice that she got, and she kind of allows herself to stretch a little bit more in this. So I'd be really interested in if there's a different difference in the style of how it's written between the two.
I'll
based off of the length.
I'll be able to read and answer that more fully, but I think that there is. I think that this is kind of like the exact opposite of what that was. I mean, I read it years ago, and so I have some sense, but like rereading it will be a much different experience 7.5 years later.
Yeah, and again, a lot of that is coming from, I hope I have it right, Hilde, because she's always mentioning like you need to write in metaphors, right? Metaphors are strong, so write using metaphors. And then she reminds her later on 313 that Herta Müller has said, if you wish to describe something precisely, your sentence must contain something completely different. So to write differently, and also to write with, like, again, about being more precise with her writing. So I wonder too if, again, like knowing that she can write better than Hilde, maybe after having the success of the first book, if Kjersti is able to really write how she really wants to write. And this could be the product of that new confidence, maybe, or that difference in style.
That's why I'm really excited to see her third book that's coming out in the UK right now, or not right now, but like the UK has the rights to it, Granta does, called The Child, to see like if she has this one novel that's like worked and is precise and crystalline, and this is just a baggy monster of a book. And then the third one, it'll be, I wonder where that will fall, or what she'll be doing there, if it's like completely different, or if it's a new sort of attempt to write, or where it falls on that spectrum.
Yeah, because there's this weird thing with workshopping, at least from my experience, there's this really weird thing with workshopping your writing. It's almost like it's perfectly, like it can be flawed or whatever, but like it's hermetically sealed, and then you pass it around to a group of people, and they break the seal, and they like smudge it with their fingers, they cough all over it, and basically like any kind of crap that person has in their life, they project it onto your writing and then hand it back to you, and you're just like, this thing is just all terrible and gross, and this is no good. Like, I need to throw the whole thing out, right? Like, and so it's like very hard to know which direction to navigate with your writing, unless you're very confident with what you're doing, and then find the person that's maybe kind of giving you the right advice to nudge what you're trying to do in the right direction.
Yeah.
But it so often somebody's editing it the way they want it to be versus what the book wants to be. That makes any sense.
That seems to be a running through line in here too, is that every time she works with someone, they're like, oh no, it should be the opposite of this, or everyone's always moving things in different directions. And she puts so much trust in Hilde for that final kind of read through.
Yeah, because I remember the very first time I workshopped a piece of writing, the class was something like 15 people or something like that. So I get 14 manuscripts back, or 15 including the instructor, and I try to apply as much of it to the story, and it turned into this just Frankenstein's monster, this horrific patchwork. Like, I just ruined the whole thing.
Yeah.
By taking people's advice on what was wrong with it and how to fix it. So like, now every character has been elevated up because it wasn't good enough, and the beginning is up, and you just get like this. It's just like there's something wrong with the soundboard here. Let's just take every single knob and turn it up to 10. That's what I basically did.
Yeah.
When I listened to everybody's advice, it was just this screaming cacophony of awfulness. And then, like, by the time I graduated, I'd look through and be like, nope. All right, that person's on the right idea, and I'd use theirs, and it would come out better.
Yeah,
like, you have to ignore so much.
You have to ignore a lot, I think.
But again, it takes time to get that kind of confidence, and I still don't fully have that confidence yet. And so I'm wondering too. It's kind of cool to see her in this section gaining more of that confidence.
Yeah.
While still being very, unsure.
Yeah.
I guess that's life. But I totally can totally get along with and understand that part of this book for sure.
Yeah, I've been trying with our weekly Pluba translation workshops. Like, I don't give that many like word advice things, but more general ones, if at all possible, to get people to think about it more broadly than just like, oh, this word should be this. Because I don't know, I feel like that's when you get those situations of like 19 things all colliding at once, and like none of it makes any sense anymore. But if it was a more like Zen Cohen type of things, like you need to be X while also being Y, or you need to watch out for precision while also like giving voice to your character, whatever kind of nonsense shit that I come up with in there. I feel like that might actually, and maybe, I don't know, it's probably not helpful, but it seems like if you can start through like in workshop and have that confidence, that is the most important thing, to be able to figure out what you need to do for it, but you need to do it. You can't always rely on you can't Frankenstein everyone's suggestions together. You have to tell some people that you're just going to disagree with them. You're just not going to do what they think. And that's a stage.
This was a really nice kind of development of the book as well, because you're kind of seeing it happen where, you know, the previous section was, you know, again, in that kind of workshop environment at the school. And now she's basically out of it, right? And the work is about to like be birthed into the world. And so now there's kind of this next phase of I'm kind of my own person now.
Yeah, I'm not going
to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to skip ahead for real to see what this is, but the next two sections in the book, I think the last two sections, unless I'm missing something, are the world and the universe. So we're east of the river, and then you got the world and then the universe. So
yeah, so it's getting broader.
Yeah, absolutely. From her cellar or whatever the first one was, old folks' home, the cellar, the cabin.
Yeah.
Those things.
Well, too, yeah, and it starts super constrained too, with like physically unable to move.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I think it mirrors very nicely the progression of the work that she's doing. So.
Yeah, I just flipped open to a page like later in the book that has John O'Brien in it again, so he'll be back for as a character, which is fun. I thought that I had heard that he's in here twice, so might be the other one. It's pretty fun. But yeah, I like this. I like it still quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how he felt about being in the book.
Yeah, I mean, he edited and worked on this, so.
Yeah,
he knows that it's in there. It's not a secret. I do like the various little meta commentaries that come up in here too, where they're in New York, and they're like, man, it's like a movie. Everything's like a movie. And then they see the person who's like, they're like, don't jump, and they're like, I kind of want him to jump because I kind of want to see someone die, but I don't really want to see him die. So like maybe you shouldn't jump. And then they're like, oh, it's a movie. Like all this is bullshit. Like we're all on a movie set. It's sort of like I don't know if you've watched Hyperdrive yet on Netflix, which is filmed here in Rochester and is amazing. It's amazing.
I watched an episode of it. After your stunning review of it, I got drunk and watched one episode of it.
You have to get to episode.
It is so nonsensical. It's amazing.
You have to get to
perfectly
episode
American
3.
Television.
Episode 3 is the one where I think it all clicks together, where like all the nonsense. I mean, I guess there's like drifting as a sport, but like I don't know what drifting is, and it doesn't feel like any of those people know what drifting is. They're just saying words to describe these car races. But the third one is the one where like this one car has to go up a ramp and stop close to the end to get it to go down, and it comes very close to the end, and the announcer immediately says, "I want to see a car go over the edge." And they're like, wait, what did you say? It's like, I mean, not with anyone in it. It's like, no. It's like that impulse of like, oh shit, look at that tragedy. Almost.
Look, I'm proud of people that get work, but if I was into sports announcing or being an MC or something, and my agent got me that gig to do Hyperdrive, I'm firing that agent and look, I'm sorry. We couldn't get you American Ninja Warrior North Korea, but we got you Hyperdrive in Rochester.
Hyperdrive is like blowing up. I've seen so many reviews where they're like, this show is amazing. Everyone needs to watch this show. I'm at the part, I'm going to stop right here, but I got to the part of where they're down to like, they're done with the qualifications and they're like racing against each other and it's completely like falling apart. It's like a novel. You go along and then just blows into.
All I know is this is a show that's in Rochester and they're on a giant teeter-totter bridge and I watched a Japanese guy in a police car jump off of the bridge thing. He's like, because he didn't see the ramp go up or something. This show is bonkers. What is happening right now?
It's so good. So
he's got the police lights going.
Yep.
He's like, "Did you see my jump?" I was like, "What the hell?"
It's so good. I love it. Our world is like
I'm more of an underground drifter myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that they just display Rochester as like this post-industrial wasteland. Like there's like
nailed it.
There's no setting shots or framing shots of the space at all that aren't just like at night lit up and with smoke coming out of every pore. It's just like amazing. I don't know. Anyways, so with the book, do you have a favorite line?
Filmed in an old asbestos factory at the edge of town. We can do that here.
Why not? No one's using it.
I had a couple. I'll do the one you already mentioned about on 310. We get closer, and then we saw fire trucks, and we heard a lot of people yelling, "Don't jump!" But someone yelled, "Jump!" Everyone looked up. I was so afraid to look, but I had to look. I've never seen a person die before, and this was my chance, I thought, that this was going to make me into someone with enormous psychological problems, but it would also make me a better author.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
It was so funny, so good.
This was my favorite. 296. After the interview, the Dogwood journalist asked me out. At the restaurant, I sit there thinking that I'd rather be at home washing dishes. That's the nice thing about being together with him. I feel free to think about something else. And I know that if I went home and did the dishes, I would lose this freedom. That's like, I feel like that's every day I ever went on. Like, man, this is great because I could just sit here and think about like all kinds of other shit. Like, I feel so free. Oh man. Anyways, so
I've only done a couple interviews. I know you've done a bunch, but I always just really this is so dumb. I don't know what kind of publicity I'm going to get from this, but this is so dumb. These questions are so dumb. This is can't wait.
I just got back because I have to write an article for Publishers Weekly, and I tried to interview some people, but I was like, hey guys, like this is like I'm not really a journalist by any means, so like these are some softball questions that you can just do whatever you want with. So like they are those questions that people are like, that's really dumb. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like I need that level of stuff. I need that content. I need those quotes.
What's your writing space look like? It's a desk.
It's a mat.
I've got a laptop. And then there's a library. I go to the library and get some books sometimes.
Sometimes I have coffee while I write.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I used to do the worst when I'd have to do interviews in the morning, and there's like a string of times where people would call it like 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 8:30 for like whatever dumb reason that was like the time of the interview, and I feel like I'd just be like barely functioning, and they'd ask some question, I'd just be like go off on some tangent and realize like I'm saying shit that is eminently quotable and also like really not the thing I want to be saying. Like there's some quote in the Wall Street Journal about how nobody likes Chase Bank, or like it's like people don't support things, like they're not like, yay, go Chase Bank. Like there's just like certain fundamental parts of America that we don't care for. And I realized that was not a good thing to be saying in like the Wall Street Journal.
That could be the end of the section. There's that, and she was in the parking lot, and one of the interviewers was saying, you do have to realize, like, you may want to think, do you want to be controversial or do you want to pick a fight with somebody?
That's right. Like, who do you want to fight?
It'd be kind of helpful if you did.
Yeah.
Like, so
yes.
I guess the question of the day, should you do that or should you just be nice and polite and have a boring, no one pays attention interview? Which do you like to read or listen to?
Obviously.
And which would you be willing to give?
So
because I am a friendly, nice person. I don't like.
Do you like reading interviews that like fire off though?
Oh hell yeah, absolutely.
Those are,
of course.
So if you obviously we like to read those. Those are more fun. They give a lot.
No, I mean it's like again, if I want to see if there's a car and it's going to be on a teeter-totter, I kind of want to watch it drive off of it.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want anybody to get hurt, but it'd be a
It'd
lot
be-
better if it exploded into flames and they had to bring the paramedics out and pull the guy out and he's running on fire. Help! You got the thing. That would be good.
That would be cool. That would be good television.
Yeah.
Good television. Yeah.
And on that note.
And so I'd go with controversial, but like I don't know if that changes the way people buy books. I mean, there is like the Will Self always gives controversial interviews, and people always then attack him on Twitter, and everyone's like, nobody ever reads his books anyways. But I don't know that that's because of his interviews, or it's just that nobody's reading his books.
Well, like Franzen, Lionel Shriver.
Lionel Shriver
does that.
She doesn't give interviews. Hers is just
like even. No, and you know, people like Roxane Gay, for instance, is willing to have strong opinions, and people are always trying to clap back at her. So I mean, yeah, right or wrong. I mean, doesn't hurt to say some things that get some attention.
Yeah, you got to ruffle some, as long as they're the right things, I suppose. It can't be like.
You want to go like Milo.
Yeah, you
want to go full blown Milo on people.
That's 100% who I was just thinking of. Jordan.
I couldn't remember his last name
or whatever his name is. That's a guy's name, right?
Yeah. He's Canadian, which for being Canadian, that's like he's really vicious.
He's over the top. Yeah.
As far as with Canadian blood in your body to be saying things like he does, that is vicious.
I just in my mind confused Nathan. One of them's a bad quarterback. Nathan Peterman and
Nathan Peterman? He's on Hard Knocks right now with the Oakland Raiders. Yeah.
And Jordan Peterson. These are two.
They probably could play football about the same.
These are two anonymous white dudes who both like suck at the thing that they're trying to do. Don't be like that, but be controversial in good ways. Okay, so next week we're doing pages 316 through 360, still in the East of the River section. I'm going to try and reread the novel before then so you can talk, and hopefully we will have the translator on one of the next couple episodes, so be able to talk to her and then have Kjersti on at the end and finish the book up.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really want to see how this concludes itself, the shape of it. So it is an
now all right. So the homework for next week: did Virginia Woolf jump into the east side of the river? Which side of the river did she jump into? Because she said her favorite American author was Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a connection there with this section being about rivers.
Yeah.
Good question.
Good.
All right. Until next time.
Okay. Take care, man. I will talk to you soon. Oops. There's like 9 steps to shutting this off.